Proud, hardworking American patriots, you are amazing. You built this country. You built this country. This has been a tremendous week for our movement. We won big on Super Tuesday. They call it Super Tuesday for a reason. We won big. And now we're just days away from officially clinching the Republican nomination for President of the United States of America. I want to thank the millions of incredible supporters whose hard work and devotion have led us to this incredible moment in history. You know, this is a movement the likes of which this country has never seen before. No movement even close. And to all Americans, whether you are a Republican, an independent, or a disillusioned Democrat, of which there are many, all you had to do is watch that horrible State of the Union. That was the worst president in history, making the worst State of the Union speech in history. But if you're a disillusioned Democrat, of which there are many today, I extend an open hand, an open invitation, and I ask you to join us on the noble quest of saving our country. Saving our country. Together we will turn the page forever on the miserable nightmare of the Biden presidency. What a presidency, what a president. The most incompetent president we've ever had. The worst president, the most incompetent, and the most corrupt. Other than that, I think he's doing actually quite a good job. And we will make America great again. 2 nights ago, we all heard Crooked Joe's angry, dark, hate-filled rant of a State of the Union address. Didn't it bring us together? Remember, I'm going to bring the country together. I'm going to bring it together. No. He's a threat to democracy. I will tell you, he's a threat to democracy. Weaponize government, weaponize the FBI, weaponize the DOJ. He's a threat to democracy for other reasons also. Number one, he's grossly incompetent. Joe Biden gave the most divisive, partisan, radical, and extreme speech ever delivered by a president in that chamber. Not even close. Rather than trying to bring our country together, he tried to cling to power by tearing our country apart. He's done nothing. You know what their whole thing is going to be? Go after Trump. Go after. We have no policy. We didn't do anything. Everything we did turned out so badly. Go after Trump. And we're ready for it. Are we ready? We're ready. Crooked Joe Biden talked about Ukraine before he talked about America. He talked about the size of a Snickers bar. You know, it's probably true about Snickers. They'd throw a little bit less in. I'd probably do the same thing if I owned that particular company. But can I be honest with you? Who the hell cares about that? That's not what the problem is. That's not what the problem is. That's not what you don't talk about Snickers. You talk about inflation, big league inflation, not that kind of stuff. You talk about the fact that we're no longer energy independent. We're going to be energy dominant. You talk about bigger things. We talk about the whole country as opposed to the kind of things he talked. I think he took 41 minutes before he got to the border, and then he covered it almost not at all. The border is the biggest problem. I think it's one of the biggest problems, the greatest threat to the history of our country. So it took him 41 minutes, and then he announced a plan to send our brave U.S. military men and women into Gaza to resupply the terrorists of Hamas. You know what's going to happen? He wants to build billions and billions of dollars a pier, a nice pier going way into. What happened to the environmental impact statement? Last time I wanted to build a pier, they tie you up forever, right? There's no tying up. But here's the problem. The bad guys will take over that pier, and they'll take every ounce of food and everything else, and then they'll sell it to people that have no money and that it was intended for. We have the stupidest people in the history of our country running things. These are stupid people. I'd like to use a more sophisticated word, but you know, there are some words that just go, these are stupid people. Joe Biden should not be shouting angrily at America. America should be shouting angrily at Joe Biden. And we should be saying, Crooked Joe, you're fired. Get out of here. You're fired. You're incompetent. You're incompetent. Get out of here. You're destroying our nation. Get the hell out of here. You're destroying our country, Joe. He doesn't have a clue. He doesn't even know. He doesn't know he's destroying it. He has no clue. He has no clue. Like with the documents hoax. How about that? He's not competent to stand trial, but he's allowed to be the president. Okay, figure that one. We don't think he should be standing trial because he's not competent. But as far as being president, that's okay, right? Figure that one out. I think we'll be taking that one on the campaign trail a little bit. Do you think, maybe? Only in America can this happen. With your vote, we are going to win the state of Georgia in an epic landslide. And by the way, I have to tell you that, you know, I've done it twice. We did great the first time, 2016. We did much better the second time, like not even close. And it was rigged. It was rigged. But there's never been the spirit that I've seen this time. 2016 was great. 2020 was better, the spirit. But this blows it away. We came in from the airport. We're 15 minutes away. The lines of people standing along the streets coming up to this building are incredible. On November 5th, the curtain closes on Crooked Joe's corrupt reign, and the sun rises on a brand new day for Georgia and for America. By far the most disgraceful part of Joe Biden's service is the divisive and angry speech. It's so angry. Our great First Lady said, I think he's very angry. You know why he's angry? Because he doesn't know what he's doing. He's screaming, and then coughing. Wow. And he's always using the right hand. He shakes his hand, then he gets off the stage. Did you notice nobody wanted to shake his hand? I wouldn't. I'm a great American, but I don't know if I want to go there. No, he's always coughing into his hand, and it's not a real cough. It's a nervous habit. He's got to stop. That's it, because there's no real cough. He just goes... And then you turn to fake news CNN. Oh, their light just went off. Their light just went off. The red light just went off. What do you think of that, Jim? Damn it. That's my fault. I waited too long. You have to hit him fast before they can turn it off. No, it just went off. That's all right. And they'll say the speech was brilliant, not since FDR. You know, FDR was a great orator. Beautiful tone, beautiful. He was born in a very patrician area, to put it mildly. Very rich, very patrician, beautiful accent, beautiful words. He was a great speaker. And they said, not since FDR has a speech been so beautifully delivered. Do you believe this? No, do you believe this? I think Marjorie believes it because she was there. She saw. It's incredible. That DNC, I'll tell you what. You take a look at MSDNC, how evil they are. They're evil. They're sick. They shouldn't even be allowed to do what they do because it's so corrupt. They shouldn't be allowed to do it. They are fighting me And to think that I had The Apprentice on NBC and I did so great for them. I said before the election, long before I started, I said, well, one thing for sure, I made so much money for NBC. They hadn't had a number one show in years. They were dying. And that idiot Jeff Zucker was running it poorly. He was running it to the ground. And I came on and I gave them ratings like they haven't had in years. And when I said, I'm going to leave the show now, they wanted me to extend. Instead, they got Arnold Schwarzenegger. What happened is, I said, no, I'm going to leave because, wait, you quiet when you hear this one. Because you haven't heard this before. This isn't part of the repertoire. Right, Bert? You haven't heard this one, but you hear how quiet? It's almost like when I do The Snake. It's very quiet. It's so cool you can hear a pin drop, but it's true. I said, one thing that's going to happen. If I decide to leave the show, and they wanted me to extend, they were offering me 3 years, anything I wanted. I said, no, I'm going to run for president. Don't forget, we did it for 14 seasons. That's enough, right? But I said, we're going to run. It's hard to give up prime time and a lot of money, no matter how rich. It's a lot of money you make. But you give up prime time television, Thursday nights. It was a hard thing to do, but I said, no, I'm going to run for president. And they were so upset. And they said, no, no, no. And I decided to do it. And they said, who do you think we should use? I said, I have no idea. That's your business, not mine. And they said, what do you think of Arnold Schwarzenegger? I said, hey, he's a movie star. Maybe he'll do well. The guy got killed. He couldn't get anything. You know, Flies watched. Flies. And the show was canceled. Remember they tried Martha Stewart, too. How did that work out? She blamed me. She said, it's your fault that she failed doing the... I said, why? She couldn't tell us why. I don't know. She never figured that one out. But they used Arnold Schwarzenegger, big movie star, and he failed so badly. Actually, they asked me, because I own it with Mark Burnett, right? Mark Burnett's great. And I own it, and they said, well, you own it, so you would like to have it do well. I said, I would. They said, would you rather have it do unbelievably with our big movie star comes in, Arnold Schwarzenegger, or would you rather have it fail? I thought about it for a little while, and I said, honestly, I'd much rather have it fail, because it makes me look better, right? Right? I'm not looking for him to come in and top Trump. No, it worked out just fine. He failed. It was like a total disaster. But I did it for 14 seasons, and I said to NBC, you know, I respect you guys. I liked them. I mean, I liked them. But the bosses came up. They tried to talk to me. 5 guys came up, and they wanted to talk to me. They call them suits. But the top suits, the top. And I just said, no, I decided I'm going to run for president. But, you know, you won't win. It's impossible to win. Nobody's ever done that before. There's never been a person that ran for president that wasn't either a politician or a general. I think it's 92% of politicians and 8% were generals. Did anybody know these little facts of wisdom? So you had to be a general, I guess an admiral and all, but there were no admirals. 8% generals and 92, think of that, 92% politicians. I said, I don't care. I mean, it doesn't matter to me. I'm going to give it a shot. And I announced and immediately went to number 1 and stayed there for a long time. Remember, I had center of stage. And then I got angry because I said, no, I want to be in the center. I don't want to be tight for the center. Those guys don't come close. So we had to have a different number. So it didn't have to be 10. It had to be 9 or it had to be 11. It had to be something. But it couldn't be an even number. And they got angry at me. I said, no, I'm not going to do it. So then they ended up doing what I said. But right from the beginning it worked. And then I got on television and they asked me that horrible, horrible question. Remember? And I said, oh, my God, that's the first question I ever got. Megyn Kelly. May she rest in peace. She's sort of making a career by pretending she likes me. And then, so what happened is she asked me that horrible question about women. Women love me. You know, I protect women. I protect. They talk about suburban housewives. And look at that. These are suburban housewives from North Carolina. They followed me. This is their 117th rally. You believe that? 117. I don't know what the hell their husbands are doing. They're home alone saying, is my wife okay? No, I mean, we're not so far, but you know, when they go out to Texas and California, there's like 40 of them, and they look great, but I don't think the husbands can be too... Are your husbands happy about this? Are they okay with... Yes. Well, you have very nice husbands, I'll tell you. But it was an amazing phenomenon, and I do protect women. Look, they talk about suburban housewives. I believe I'm doing well. You know, the polls were all rigged. Of course, lately they have been rigged because I'm winning by so much. I always say, disregard that statement. I love the polls very much. We're beating him by so much, but with the suburban, they always say suburban housewives, they want something that's very important, security. They don't want illegal immigrants coming into our country. They don't want illegal immigrants knocking on their front door and saying, I'm going to use your kitchen, and I'm going to use your bedroom, and there's not a damn thing. And that's the nice ones, okay? That's the nice ones. They want safety, they want security, and that's what I provide. I had the safest border in the history of our country. Now we have the worst border in the history of our world. So we went out and we did it, and we went to number 1 almost immediately, right? I think immediately. I think the first week or something was, you know, I wasn't given credit because it was only 1 day of the week. So I said, oh, I didn't start off well. They said, well, you're only given credit for like a half a day. I said, oh, that's okay. So let's see how I do. We went to number 1 immediately. From the day we came down that beautiful escalator in Trump Tower with our first lady, who people love our first lady. I want to tell you. She says hello. We went to number 1, and we never left. And then we had to beat. I don't call her crooked anymore. I use that term for Joe. Joe's crooked. And I don't call Hillary anything. I don't even think about her anymore, to be honest. But we went to number 1, and then we weren't supposed to win the election, and that's what they hate me for, because I won an election that the Republicans were not supposed to win. We weren't supposed to win it, right, Jim? But we won it, Jim. Jim Jordan knew. Do we love Jim Jordan, by the way? Yeah. Every day, Joe Biden is deliberately releasing gang members and military-aged men into our communities by the tens of thousands, knowing full well that his policies will cause countless innocent lives. I'm not sure he does know, if you want to know the truth, because I really don't. I don't think he's a good person. I don't think he's a nice guy. I think he's a corrupt individual, but I don't think, and it has nothing to do with age. I know people from 80 to 90. I know one man from 80. He was a loser all his life. When he turned 80, he made $1 billion doing something from 80 to 90. Amazing. And I know other people over 90. It's not an age thing. It's a competence thing. It's a competence thing. They got to stop. They do the age thing. And they always have me as his age. I'm 4 years younger. So 4 years is a lot, but it doesn't matter. They do the age thing to try and get Trump. Let's get Trump. Always, they never talk about his competence. He's grossly incompetent. Don't you understand that? The question is whether or not he's going to get to the starting gate. I can only hope. You know, I challenged him to a debate. And he said, his person, who's really a wonderful spokesperson, his press secretary, how good is she? She actually didn't know what to say, but I do. And I challenge him right now. You know, he's at another part of your state where he's really said some bad things today. And we'll get into that. He said some really bad things. What Joe Biden has done on our border is a crime against humanity and the people of this nation for which he will never be forgiven. That's a very hard thing. We're going to fix it. We're going to fix it fast. We're going to have the largest deportation in history. But what a tremendous shame that this could have happened in our country. What a shame. Laken Riley would be alive today if Joe Biden had not willfully and maliciously eviscerated the borders of the United States and set loose thousands and thousands of dangerous criminals into our country. To her family tonight, I promise you, I will demand justice for Laken. Justice for Laken. Thank you. Thank you very much. Incredible. I will fight like no one has ever fought before to ensure that what happened to this American daughter, this incredible, incredible American, that this never happens to any other daughter or anyone else ever again. We will do everything we can that it doesn't happen again. And you know it will, because unfortunately we have so many people allowed into our country that shouldn't be, but we're going to get it down to a trickle. We're not going to let this go on. Our country is being destroyed by an incompetent president, and we're not going to let this happen. I mean, the good thing about his speech, if you want to call his rant, the other night, he probably did well enough that he's not going to be replaced on the ballot, because they were talking about replacing him. And I said, he got through it barely, but he got through it. I think he's possibly going to make it. Nobody thought he was. I sort of didn't think. I guess maybe I still don't think. I mean, when that's the best that a party can do, we're in big trouble. And they always talk about, it's so interesting. I watch these criminals back there, the press. Look at them. Look at how many of them. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people. Wow. I always say they should endorse me because I'm the best thing that ever happened to their ratings. They should endorse me. But I say it, and I say it all the time. I say, we have to have a free press. We have to have an honest press in this country. They're like the police. We need our police. We need an honest press. We need free and fair elections. We don't have free and fair elections. We have very corrupt elections. And we need borders. And we had the safest border in the history of our country. Now we have the most unsafe border in the history of the world. But we need a free and fair press. And they're totally wise to you. The people are wise to these people. And I'm not saying all of them. I'd say about 94.2% are bad. If you say to all Americans, I will seal the border, I'm going to do it. And I will stop this invasion. I'm going to do it. I will stop the killing. I will stop the bloodshed. I will end the agony of our people, the plunder of our cities, the sacking of our towns, the violation of our citizens, and the conquest of our country. They're conquering our country. These people are conquering our country. They're horrible people. We have China, we have Russia, we have Kim Jong-un, we have all sorts of countries out there. But if you have a really capable president, like me, I will tell you. You were very safe. You were very safe. But the real problem is not from them. A competent president can handle him. You can say, really, you're going to do that to us? We're going to tariff the hell out of you. We're going to do this. Believe me, I had them all in good shape. You were never in any trouble. Kim Jong-un of North Korea, tough guy. But we had a great relationship. They hate when they say that. You know why? Because you were very safe with a lot of nuclear weapons. And you have Putin now talking nuclear all the time, don't you? You know why? Because he knows we have an idiot as a president, and he can get away with that. He can get away with that. But the biggest threat we have, it's the threat from within. It's the radical left lunatics that we have in our country. That's a much bigger threat than outside threats, I will tell you right now. We can handle the outside pretty easily if you're smart. If you're stupid, they'll continue to rip you off. But the bigger threat is from what we have inside. Remember I used to say, if we don't start changing, we're going to be Venezuela on steroids. That's where we're heading right to it. Remember Trump was right about everything, right? The hat. Trump was right. I don't want to be right about these things. You have to be careful too of World War III. I'm not going to let that happen. You're not going to have it. But right now you're very close to a world war on this whole mess that we're in. When I left, we had no problem. Everybody was respecting us. They respected the president and they respected the country. We had no problem. Now we have problems all over the place. I had dinner last night with a great gentleman from Hungary, Prime Minister of Hungary, Viktor Orban. Very, very tough. Some people don't like him because he's very tough, and they were interviewing him 2 months ago. He said it again yesterday, actually. I appreciate it. It's very nice. It's good if you're running for office, I guess. But he said the problem with America is they need Trump back as president. When Trump was president, there were none of these problems. Israel wouldn't have been attacked. Ukraine and Russia wouldn't be fighting. I know him very well. There was no way he was going in. No way Putin was going in. Putin would never have gone in under any circumstances, but then they gave him added incentive. The things Biden said were the exact opposite things. I said, he's going to talk this guy into going in. You listen to the way he talked. He had no idea what he was doing. And then you look at what happened to energy. Energy went up so high. Russia's one of the biggest in the world for energy. So they had now so much money to do. They wouldn't have had it at $40 a barrel. At $100 a barrel, they were making a fortune. The only one ever to make a fortune doing a war. And that's what happened. This guy is a disaster, and he has to be taken out. You're going to end up, if he's not relieved of his office on November 5th, we have done one of the great disservices to humanity because he is not capable to be your president. Not capable. You'll end up in a world war as sure as you're sitting or standing there. We have standing room only. The press hates to say that, they never talk about the size. We haven't had an empty seat in years. Jim Jordan knows that. A long time ago, I did one in Ohio. And Jim said, man, there's like 10,000 people outside the gate. That was the beginning, right, Jim? And we saved Whirlpool, and we saved some great companies up there, and now they're doing good. They had little problems, like they weren't allowed to have water go into their washing machines. Minor little problems. But we took care of it. We took care of the dumping. They were dumping from South Korea and from China. They were dumping washing machines, dryers. And we took care of it, and they love us up there. We love them. And they love this whole family. I tell you, they love this whole family up there. But we have to straighten out our country. We have to do it fast. And we don't have that much time anymore. Even 7 months is a long time. We're waiting. And it's at the end of 7 months. In other words, it's closer to 8 than it is to 7. And the destruction that they are doing to our country, this is a long time. This is a very risky period. This is the most dangerous period in the history of our country, in my opinion. It's the most dangerous time. And that's because of nuclear weapons and other types of weapons that are so powerful. But nuclear weapons, but other types too, that are so powerful. This is no longer army tanks going back and forth shooting each other. This is big stuff. And we have a man that has no clue. If I said to him, give me the definition of MAGA, I don't know. Why do you ask that? I said, just give me. It's make America great again, Joe. He wouldn't be able to tell you. We have to stop MAGA. How about where he goes, we have to stop MAGA. We will stop MAGA. We will stop. I said, what does MAGA mean? I don't know, really. Tell me, what does it mean? Make America great again. Let's stop that. That's what they're doing. They are stopping it. If they use their genius, because they are genius at cheating at elections and things, but they're not a genius on policy or common sense. They have no common sense. But if they use their ability, their genius on making America great again, I probably wouldn't have ever run. I probably would have never run. I wouldn't have to. I'd be now lounging on some beautiful beach someplace and doing something like he does, but he does it during his presidency. Somebody said he looks great in a bathing suit, right? And when he was in the sand and he was having a hard time lifting his feet through the sand, because sand is heavy. They figured 3 solid ounces per foot. But sand is a little heavy. And he's sitting in a bathing suit. Look, at 81, do you remember Cary Grant? How good was Cary Grant, right? I don't think Cary Grant, he was good. I don't know what happened to movie stars today. We used to have Cary Grant and Clark Gable and all these people. Today we have, I won't say names because I don't need enemies. I got enough enemies. But Cary Grant was like, Michael Jackson once told me, the most handsome man, Trump in the world. Who? Cary Grant. Well, we don't have that anymore, but Cary Grant at 81 or 82, going on 100, this guy, he's 81 going on 100. Cary Grant wouldn't look too good in a bathing suit either. And he was pretty good looking, right? He would. If this guy went to the beach and he enjoyed himself and he left our border policies alone, we're the strongest West, remain in Mexico, or catch and release in Mexico, building the wall, the Mexican army, 28,000 soldiers protecting our border. If he just left it alone, he could have stayed at the beach and everybody would have said, boy, is he looking good. But he doesn't look good. He's got a consultant. You know, we all have consultants, but you have to think for yourself a little bit. And some consultant said, you know, I think the president would look good on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. You don't go to the beach there. I don't think that looks good. Are the voters happy when they see a president all week long on the beach? I don't think. Typically, that's not a good look. You'd like to see a president who works a little bit, right? But if he would have left our policies in place, and our policies on energy, now I will say he brought them back because he was getting killed, so he let him drill more. But as soon as this election were over, should the unthinkable happen, he will stop all of the drilling. He's only doing it because he was getting absolutely killed, so he went back to the Trump drilling. But even at that, he gave up Anwar, the biggest site ever in the world, probably bigger than Saudi Arabia, something that's in Alaska, Anwar. So it's a shame what's happening to our country. It's so sad. When I'm with people and we start talking about it, and they're from other countries, it's embarrassing. One day one of my new administration, I will terminate every open border policy of the Biden administration, and we will use every tool at our disposal to rid our country of the monsters who Joe Biden set loose to threaten and kill innocent Americans. Because what we just discussed is happening to many people. Many people. People are being killed every single day by these monsters. How about New York? They just put military on the subways. Military. Because the illegals, as he refuses to say, the migrants, were harming passengers. I mean, think of it. You're going to work for years and years. You're an accountant, you're a lawyer, you're a doctor, you're a carpenter. You're going to work on the subways. And now they're like a military installation. And you know why? Because the migrants are hurting people. They talk about the beautiful dream of migrants. It sounds so nice, you know, like in a fairy tale book. But some of these people are monsters, a big percentage of them. If you go to El Salvador, Honduras, if you go to numerous other countries, but we're really talking all over the world. The other day, from Africa, the Congo, they had numerous prisoners caught from the Congo. The good news is they all make our prisoners look like very nice people, because our people are much nicer. Our prisoners are vicious, horrible people in many cases, in most cases perhaps. But you know what? When you look at the people that are being allowed to come all over the world, they're emptying their prisons, they're emptying their mental institutions into the United States of America. What can be good about that? Is there any reason that can be good? They're probably thinking they can vote, but they cheat, so they don't really have to do that. They can do it without doing it because they cheat so much. But what can be good about that? And how can that even be good politically? I think there's a movement. I think one of the reasons, I think you like me the same. You had 4 great years. We had the greatest economy in history. You had 4 great years, and people look at, but I think you like me the same. Let's say you like me the same. You know, they always like to say, 2 very unpopular people are running. I'm not unpopular. I'm at 92 or 94% in the Republican Party. Ronald Reagan was at 86%. It's fake news. These are fake news people. Is that right, Marjorie? No, they always like to equate me with this guy. 2 very unpopular people are running for office. Very unpopular. I said, why am I unpopular? I just knocked off 12 people in the quickest time that it's ever happened. I don't know if you know that. It's the fastest that's ever. It's never happened that way. And in Iowa, in New Hampshire, in South Carolina, against a governor of South Carolina, in Nevada, every single state I ran in, we won by a margin that was a substantial record. In Iowa, we won by the highest margin in history.
So in love with you.
Two, we would double the highest margin. In New Hampshire, I got the most votes in the history of the state of New Hampshire. Now think of this for a second. New Hampshire, and it's up there in, you know, Kennedy territory, right? JFK ran. I got more votes than JFK. A lot of great people, historic people ran, and that's in either party. I got more votes than anybody in either party. In Nevada, I got unbelievable. We got 98% of the caucus votes, and then won the primary too. Even though I wasn't running in the primary, I wasn't even running in it because it didn't matter, because it didn't equate to delegates, right? And then we go to other states, but we go to South Carolina, and against a popular and competent but very nasty person, but a competent person, we won in a record. It wasn't even close. It wasn't even close. Think of it. And then we had this beautiful, magnificent couple of states, which, by the way, we won. But then we had our 15 states, Super Tuesday. Every state was like in a record. I think in California it was close to 90% to 9%, and 1% undecided. I said, who are the people that are undecided? 1%. They always have undecided, you know. And I have to say that because they'll say, oh, he doesn't add well. It was 90 to 9. No. There's some people undecided for the fake news. You know, it's a problem. If I have fun and I want to be a little sarcastic, because I'm a somewhat sarcastic person, I have humor. You know why I have humor? Because if I didn't, and I'm looking at what this guy has done to our country, you have to have a little humor. But sometimes I'll imitate, because you know he can never find his way off a stage. You know that, right? He makes a speech that lasts for about 2.5 minutes, and then, then he always goes, you know, you ever notice the weirdest thing? He goes, thank you. And he points. No, he always points. And then he starts walking, and they're waving him to the other. It's the other stair. And he goes around and doesn't know what the hell he's doing. He's lost. Then I walk off the back of the stage where there's no stair, fall down. No, I mean, you know, but here's the problem. Whenever I imitate that, they put me on saying I couldn't get off the stage. So I have to be very careful. When I substitute Barack Hussein Obama, has anybody ever heard of Barack Hussein Obama? And I use his name instead. And I say, our president, Barack Hussein Obama, meaning who's calling the shots? Does everyone sort of understand? The fake news says, he doesn't know the name of our president. He doesn't know it's Joe Biden. He must be cognitively impaired. I'm not cognitively. And you know what? When I am, you're going to know it. You're going to be the first people. I know my people. You'll say, all right, Trump, you did a good job. Get the hell out of here. That's it. That's it. No, these are very dishonest people. No, I called my wife. I said, baby, how was that? Just tell me. How good was I tonight? She watches it like she loves it, right? She said, you were good, but it's a little embarrassing. Why? They showed you couldn't find the stairs on the stage. I said, they did that to me. They did that. Because it's almost impossible. These things, in this case, we only have 4 stairs. It's a small platform. Look, I have one there, believe it or not, one here, one there. You have 3, and you can't find them, and they're right alongside of each other. And they all work, you know? I don't know, government must have built it because you got one platform and you have stairs all over the place. Built by government. Crazy. So I have to be very careful. I can't be sarcastic, can't be fun. You can't mix names, purposely mix names. You know, purposely. In the State of the Union this week, Crooked Joe told a total fairy tale about the economy. But the fact is, under Biden, we have a 3-year inflation rate of almost 50%. Under me, you had no inflation. You had no inflation. Under Bidenomics, the United States has lost 284,000 good full-time jobs in the past year and replaced them with hundreds of thousands of part-time jobs and a lot of government jobs. That's not fair. I could do that too. Let's hire some more people. Make me look good. In addition, virtually 100% of all jobs created under Biden have gone to foreign-born workers. How do you feel about that? Good? And I'll tell you this. The biggest problem that you're going to see from all of these millions and millions, I think the number is 15 million people already. I think it'll be 18 to 20 million people by the time we get rid of this guy. And the biggest, think of it, that's bigger than New York State. I think it's going to be close to 20 million people. That's my prediction. But I think it's already 15 million people. Black people, Hispanic people, Asian people, and unions. Unions are going to suffer. I mean, I'm all for everybody. I'm for the worker. But unions, they should endorse Trump because I'm closing our border good and tight. And if you're going to come into our country, you're coming in legally. You're going to come into our country legally. In February alone, nearly 1 million jobs held by native-born Americans disappeared by one. Think of that. You lost 1 million jobs. Black people. That's who lost the jobs. Hispanic people, that's who lost the job. That's why we just had a poll come out. Now, it doesn't sound great, but it is great relative. You know, a guy stiff like Mitt Romney, I think he had 4% of the black vote. I had, as of this poll today, Marjorie, 28%. If that's the case, this election is over. If that's the case, I'll ask some of our great Congress people. We have great ones. We're going to introduce them in a second. But why don't we just call the election over? Because at 28%, and I hope that stays that way. But you know what? And I hope it goes up higher. It should be much higher. Honestly, it should be 100% of the black people should vote for Trump because I did more for black people than any president other than Abraham Lincoln. It's true. It's true. I did more than any president other than Abraham Lincoln. Think of it. Criminal justice reform. I took care of the black colleges and universities. They would come up to Washington after 3 years. They said, why do you guys keep coming back? One of them, I got friendly with some of them, really good people. They said, every year we come back looking for money. They do a great job. Black colleges and universities, they have very little money. And then you look at Harvard and these maniacs, and they have billions and billions of dollars. Very unfair. We're going to have to look into that whole situation. We're going to have to. And Elise did a very good job when she destroyed that person, the big plagiarizer from Harvard. I think did she plagiarize every document she ever wrote? I think so. The only thing she had going for her was nice glasses, if you like that look. No, Elise did a fantastic job. We all know that she was amazing, and it really revealed what they were all about. But I took care of the black colleges, universities, opportunity zones. Tim, does everybody know Tim Scott? So I shouldn't say, he'll get angry, but I tell him this all the time. So, you know, when we win and people come on, and many people, as soon as you win, I have calls from people that you wouldn't believe. People that were so nasty to me, now they go, sir, we'd love to come over and make amends. You know, I've always thought you were the best candidate. I think you're fantastic. You know, people that were with DeSanctimonious, they were with other people. Well, I'm not going to use that name anymore. It's not respectful. Let's go Ron DeSantis. People that were with DeSantis, were with Nikki. They were with now they're calling, sir, congratulations. I've been so busy, sir. I haven't had time to make a call, but now that I'm freed up a little bit, would it be possible for me to come? I'd like to support. I said, I thought you were with DeSantis. Oh, sir, really, sir. Those were false reports. Great comprehension. Always had great comprehension, great memory. Oh, I said, oh, no, you were with them. Let's just look it up. The great thing about one of the only good things about the internet, you press a button and it gives you the whole history of some guy. But they're all calling me Jim, and they're all saying, sir, I'll give you names. I'd love to reveal them right now, but I'll give you names that you wouldn't believe. We've got to stop Trump. He's an insurrectionist. Then 2 weeks later, sir, I'd love to be part of your campaign. I think I could really help. These are phony people. So 90% of them we won't take back, and could be 100. Could be 100. But with your vote, we will throw out Bidenomics and we will reinstate MAGAnomics. Right? But I have to say that we have a country with tremendous potential, and if we turn that potential and use that potential, we're going to come back. A lot of people think we can't come back. It's too far down the line. It's not. If we don't win this election, it is. I don't think it can ever come back. It's never going to come back. It's too much. But we have tremendous people in the country, tremendous spirit. As I said, it's the greatest spirit I've ever seen, and I've done to it. This is my 3rd time. I'm going to have to win it 3 times. But we're going to turn it around. And we will cancel Biden's work permits for illegals and protect American jobs for American workers. We will immediately end Biden's war on American energy, and we will end his inflation catastrophe, and we will drill, baby, drill, right? Yeah, I got to interrupt. You know, the fake news will say, oh, he goes from subject to... No, you have to be very smart to do that. You got to be very smart. It's called, you know what it is? It's called spot checking. You're thinking about something when you're talking about something else, pop, and then you get back to the original, and they go, holy shit, did you see what he did? That's something. It's called intelligence. But so I have a problem, because we get so much television coverage, and look at the size. There's never been rallies like this. You know, I had 100,000, 105,000 people, depending. If we wanted a much bigger room than this is the biggest room you could get. We didn't want to have rain on you. We have a lot of people outside that wanted to get in, but every place is packed. The problem is, I've got front row Joes over here. And I've got the most beautiful women in the world, in my opinion, from North Carolina. These 40 incredible women, and they come to so many shows. They're up to 117. I won't even tell you how many front row Joes, like up to close to 200. And here's the problem. I feel I have an obligation to the superfans. So, Marjorie, I have to make different speeches all the time. You ever notice they're never really the same? And to do that, you have to be very smart, and you have to have a great imagination for putting the right stuff in. Now, a lot of politicians, I know a politician, he's a good politician. He's made the same exact speech word for word for, I would say, a good 10 years. He goes into a room, He can't get himself into any trouble. You know people like that, Jim? Yes. He's saying too many, most of them. But we have to give a little action for these people. So we're telling you some stories tonight because we have to do that. But they'll say, oh, he was wondering. He must be cognitively imbalanced. No, I'd like to see these guys do it. Let's do a little IQ test. Let's do an IQ test. And by the way, I said it before, but officially, for the good of our nation, it is time for Crooked Joe Biden and myself to debate. We have to debate. It's for the good of our nation. I say that for another reason, because I saw the Washington Post today. The Washington Post. Oh, what a terrible paper. The good news, it's losing so much money that even a rich person isn't that stupid that they're going to keep it going. But the Washington Post, some real lightweight journalist, said, Biden wants to debate Trump, but Trump is not available. He doesn't want to do it. Can you believe this? So officially to you, Washington Post, and you know the reporter I'm talking about, they make it up. They say, Biden wants to debate me. He just wants to do it. I don't want to do it. No, just the opposite, as he knows. These are very dishonest people. They're so bad for our country. I want to debate Biden because I think it's important for the American people to hear what's going on. And how can you destroy our country like you're doing it? So officially, I want to debate crooked Joe Biden. Anytime, anywhere, any place, I'll debate. But it's no wonder that Joe Biden and his thugs are so desperate to stop us. They know that we are the only ones who can stop them. We're the only ones. There's nobody else. Nobody else. We're going to stop people. We're going to turn our country around. We're going to make our country so powerful, so great. That's why they're weaponizing law enforcement for high-level election interference against Joe Biden's top and only political appointment, a guy named me. The guy named me. Joe Biden and the fascists that control him are the real threat to democracy. Remember that? I'm not the threat to democracy. I'm stopping the threat to democracy. They're the threat to democracy. As an example, you read about this. Can you believe this? Sometimes it's not good to be rich. I just posted a $91 million bond, $91 million, on a fake story, totally made up story. Think of it, $91 million. I could say things about what it would cost normally. $91 million. Based on false accusations made about me by a woman that I knew nothing about, didn't know, never heard of, I know nothing about her. She wrote a book, she said things, and when I denied it, I said, it's so crazy, it's false. I got sued for defamation. That's where it starts. And this is Democrat operatives. These are all her lawyers, a big Democrat operative. The judge was a disaster, but Democrat operatives funding and directing her, they gave her the money to pursue the case. They changed the law. New York is a very corrupt place. And this is killing New York because companies are leaving because they don't want to get caught in this bind. They changed the law that allowed women to go back, like unlimited. And she went back and she said, mid-90s maybe? I don't know. I had no idea. Well, nothing. She knew nothing. She went on Anderson Cooper. And she was saying all these wonderful things. And then there was a commercial break. And then she said horrible things after the break. I wonder what happened there. But it was before a federal Democrat, Trump-deranged judge. His name is Lewis Kaplan, an angry man. He screamed at my lawyer, screamed at her saying, we're going to essentially put you in jail because she was incensed that this could be happening. He treated me like a common criminal. He's a terrible person, a terrible judge, and he's a disgrace to what's happening in New York. Think of it. I just posted because we're appealing. And in order to appeal, I had to post a $91 million bond. Normally it would be you could do that, and then later on if you go through an appeal process, which could take a long time. This woman is not a believable person. The judge knows this, but the judge is, in my opinion, he's a highly corrupt judge. You had to see the way he treated us in court. So I posted a $91 million bond, and the woman didn't even know when it happened. And she admitted on Anderson Cooper, she said, I think it was sexy, it was this, can you believe this, $91 million. And then additionally, before another whacked out judge, this guy, you've been reading about it in New York. Companies don't want to go to New York anymore. You watch the impact this has. Arthur and Gorin, I got fined, listen to this one, $355 million for having done absolutely nothing wrong. I did nothing wrong. Nothing wrong. And it was proven. He even claimed that magnificent Mar-a-Lago, Palm Beach is at a different stratosphere from every other place in terms of houses and values. And Mar-a-Lago is the biggest, the best in the country, maybe in the world. Magnificent Mar-a-Lago is worth $18 million when he knows it's worth anywhere from 50 to 100 times that amount. But this was good for his false and fake decision. He said I was guilty before the trial started, before I knew anything about it. He says he's guilty. We're only going to have a trial in how much? And this guy, Ian Gorin, did exactly what the fascist and racist Attorney General of New York State, Letitia James, I call her Peekaboo James, who, by the way, is now being booed and heckled all over New York because they know it's a scam. But he did exactly what this racist, horrible human being told him to do. You know, she sued for $250 million, even though nobody. Then she went in later on after losing every point. She said, we want $350. He said, oh, okay, this is unbelievable. Over nothing. And the business community is up in arms. And they're going to leave New York over this, over that, and crime and everything else. They're not looking at crime. They only look at Trump. And just as an example, I borrowed money from a bank. I paid the bank back. It was never default, never a problem. Never a problem. I didn't even want the money. The bank wanted me to have money because that's what they do. They loan money. A small amount, much smaller than the amount you're talking about the fine. I borrowed it. I paid it back. I paid it back early, actually, because I didn't want it. I paid it back early. I had to pay a penalty for paying back early. How about that? Okay. I paid a penalty because I paid it back early. They didn't want the money. Anyway, the banker testified. The banker testified. No, the loan was perfect. Well, we don't understand. He didn't even know what he was doing there. And this judge, he levels a fine for $350 million, $55 million, $355 million on a loan that's a fraction of that size. Because he's a corrupt Democrat clubhouse judge. He wouldn't allow a jury. There was no jury. There was a statute that I was sued under that was never used before. It was a consumer fraud statute. Never ever used before. Did you know that? Never used. Only first time. Where you're not allowed juries, you're not allowed anything. It was in the sole discretion of the judge. And this corrupt judge ruled that I have to pay $355 because you know what they're trying to do? They're trying to take us out. And it's not going to work. Not going to work. Not going to work. It's not going to work. But this is all crooked Joe Biden. It's directed lawfare and weaponization against his political opponents. And that includes really all of us. It's what's happening is just an incredible thing. Now, take a look at your own neighborhood. You have a woman named corrupt Fani Willis. Fani. You have a woman named Fani Willis. Now, even though I believe it's spelled F-A-N-I, to my way of thinking, that's Fanny. But when she became the district attorney, I think she put a little emphasis on the U. Fani. So corrupt Fani Willis hired her lover, Nathan Wade, so they could fraudulently make money together. Let's make money, darling. Let's see, who can we go after? Well, if we go after somebody that nobody ever heard of, we can't make much. I got an idea. Let's do what Joe Biden and everybody else want. Let's go after Trump. And we did nothing wrong. Perfect phone call. Other than we challenged the honesty of this election. This election was rigged. Let's go after, darling. I love you very much. I love you very much, darling, he said, even though he never did a case like this before. He got almost $1 million. They targeted me to get the most dollars, and this guy with no experience at all. Think of it, he's been paid almost $1 million, and they traveled all over the world together. Isn't that romantic? Is anybody, I mean, it's sort of a beautiful love story. These are beautiful people. To me, it's a magnificent love story. Nothing like Gone with the Wind. You know, Gone with the Wind, you're not allowed to watch it anymore, right? No, right? It's politically incorrect to watch Gone with the Wind. They have a list. What were the greatest movies ever made? Well, Gone with the Wind is usually number 1 or 2 or 3. And then they have another list. You're not allowed to watch anymore, Gone with the Wind. You tell me, is our country screwed up? But think of it. They went on these magnificent cruises, beautiful cruise lines, beautiful cruise lines. And they got him because he was paying a fortune for taking more vacations than I've ever seen anybody in history take. Has anybody? She may set a record for the most vacations taken in the history of a job. But with money made wrongfully prosecuting me and other innocent American patriots. We have a couple of them here. right now head of the Republican Party, an incredible guy. I mean, they went after him. He's a very good person. We have a certain gentleman in very high office who they went after too, but he beat them because everybody should beat them. And it's too bad a couple of people took a plea deal because they got off for nothing. But now they want to renegotiate that plea deal. They said this whole thing was a scam. But think of it. So we have Fani and her lover. But then they got caught because it's hundreds of thousands of dollars. And what did they do? They paid it back. She said, "Oh man, I'm screwed." So think of this. And they got me. I got it. I paid my lover back in cash. And now I, being a very good businessman, said, now she's really in trouble because now somebody's going to say, "Where did you get the cash?" But they don't ask those questions, do they? But I think the judge is going to ask those questions. I think the judge is an honorable guy. And this whole thing should be dropped because many, many innocent people, their lives have been hurt. I sort of got used to it, to be honest with you. But these people, they got indicted. Some of them were in their 70s and 80s. They got indicted, and they're great patriots. And they were protesting a corrupt election. Or at least in their opinion, it was a corrupt election. I have no doubt about it, personally. The DA in New York is done in coordination. They took their top person in the DOJ and put him in the Manhattan District Attorney's Office to prosecute a gentleman named Donald Trump. Isn't that nice? They had a man, Pomerantz, who was Hillary Clinton's lawyer, represented the Democrat Party. He left the law firm, big law firm, smart law firm, very Democrat, it's okay. He left the law firm to serve free of charge in the DA's office in Manhattan to prosecute Donald Trump. So he's a big name lawyer, Pomerantz. And he left, think of this. He left the law firm, represented Hillary Clinton and the DNC, a Democrat. And he left the law firm to go in and prosecute, no salary, free of charge Donald Trump. And then they came in and they said, these charges are bullshit, you can't do that. And he quit in a huff. And he wrote a book about it before the case was even determined. He wrote a book, a totally dishonest thing, nobody's ever seen. And even Alvin Bragg, the DA, said, this is the worst thing, this is terrible, you gotta see the statements he made. They want to prosecute Pomerantz now. But this is all coming from the White House. Colangelo is the lawyer's name. And he comes from the White House, he was one of the top people in the White House. And they put him into the local Manhattan DA's office in order to prosecute Donald Trump. This is crooked Joe Biden. And Letitia James is totally controlled by Washington. Letitia Peekaboo James, did anybody ever hear of her? She's controlled, Peekaboo. She's controlled. Did you ever see the pictures of her campaigning? I will get Donald Trump. This is before she knows anything about me. She's applying to, she is working to become the Attorney General of New York. I will get Donald Trump. I will get this son of a bitch. I will get him. I'm gonna get him. I think that's a fair prosecutor. New York State has got to clean up its act. And by the way, Fulton County has to clean up its act. Pundits and inside sources say that the attacks on me will be violent. They say that it's violent. The attacks, Biden said it. He said, you know what their whole plan is? It was just released the other day. No, it was leaked by one of the many.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was
found dead the next morning. Your wife would not talk either because she was petrified. No, this was Al Capone. I got indicted. Well, my parents are looking down at me right now. They're saying, oh, my son is such a good boy. Shit. Man, my father would say, he doesn't do this. Think of it. I got indicted more than Alphonse Capone, the meanest Scarface. Did anybody see the movie Scarface? He was not a nice man. Even Jim Jordan would be afraid of Scarface. Everybody was afraid of Scarface, but Scarface had a different kind of a thing. They go after him like they go after me, I can tell you that. We can't let this happen. This has never happened in our country before. This happens in third world countries. This happens in banana republics. We can't let it happen here. And it's going to start with Fani, and hopefully they're going to end the case. Not get rid of her, because this thing, and this affair was going on long before the case started, so the case is totally compromised. But we don't need to get rid of her and then put somebody else in there. It's unfair to all those people that got indicted. The list goes on, and they're good people too. They're American patriots. They were protesting a legal election, and it should start right here. They should throw out that fake deal from Fulton County. What they should do, they should spend their time going over the votes in Fulton County. That's what they should do. But the attacks will come through various places and through the Justice Department, FBI, even if they have no evidence whatsoever, because they don't care what happens after the election. They only care what happens before, because they want to try and damage me. But here's what's happened. I'm able to explain the situation. And if I was guilty of something, you'd know it. And the polls were all saying he's not guilty. It's a witch hunt. And it is. I've gone through this witch hunt with Russia, Ukraine. I've gone through this witch hunt for so long. 51 intelligence agents talking about the laptop from hell. They said it was from Russia, but they knew it wasn't from Russia. You know that. And many other things. The Pfizer fake signatures. This is what we're dealing. We have a very corrupt country. I fired Comey. I fired a lot of bad people. But I didn't know it ran so deep. It runs deep. We're going to get rid of the rest of them. I know who most of them are, too. They raided my house in Florida, Mar-a-Lago. They raided. They had no reason to do so. They violated my Fourth Amendment constitutional rights. They can't raid your house. You're not allowed to do it. They raided it. But a thing like this has never, ever happened before. Joe Biden is out of control, but really the people out of control are the people that surround him. I saw Merrick Garland. I really thought, I was thinking about Merrick Garland because I came in and I put somebody else in there instead of him. And I was thinking about him, and he's liberal, but I thought he'd be a high-quality person. But the other day he said he doesn't want to have any voter ID. He doesn't have voter ID. And he said it with a straight face because he thinks voter ID is discriminatory. He said this, you need voter ID, you need identification for almost everything you do. But no, you know, in the Democrat National Convention, the last one, you had cards, identification cards that were bigger than a person's chest, a normal person, not a very big person, but a normal person like this. It had pictures from different angles. It had everything. It had everything. Probably didn't have your social security number, but that was about it. And they had identification. It was voter identification. In that case, it was party identification. You had identification cards all over people. But when it comes to vote, the most important thing you do is vote. When it comes to vote, no voter ID. I don't think we're going to stand for that. But Merrick Garland said that. And he said it with a straight face. We don't want voter ID because that's discriminatory. No, they don't want voter ID because if you have voter ID, it's much harder to cheat. Very simple. Biden is a weak, angry, flailing president. He's flailing and failing when you think of it, right? He's a flailing president and he's a failing president. Hoping that something sticks because they have nothing to campaign on. They have absolutely nothing. His administration has been a complete and total failure. Whether it's Afghanistan, where we lost 13 soldiers, 38 wounded horrifically with the arms delayed, $85 billion worth of equipment left behind, and hundreds of millions of dollars of harm. And we still have probably, could be 1,000 American hostages over there. Nobody knows. But he should be attacking inflation, or when you think of it, inflation wouldn't have happened. The attack on Israel wouldn't have happened. The attack on Ukraine with Russia, Ukraine would have never happened. Everything Joe Biden touches turns to shit. Everything. I tried finding a different word, but there are some words that cannot be duplicated, but it's true. Everything he touches, all of this persecution is only happening because I am running for president and leading big in all of the polls, every poll. In the big new focal poll, we're leading Biden by 8 points here in Georgia, and we're leading Biden all over the country. We're leading him at numbers that the Democrats have never seen before. Nationwide in all the swing states, we have the largest leads ever against crooked Joe Biden that we've ever had, and we're just getting started. Look, and it's only going to get worse for him because he can't go against this radical left crazy movement. The radical left Democrats rigged the presidential election in 2020, and we're not going to allow them to rig the presidential election in 2024. And if we do, we're not going to have a country left. Every time the radical left Democrats, Marxists, communists, and fascists indict me, I consider it a great badge of honor because I am being indicted for you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Never forget, our enemies want to take away my freedom because I will never let them take away your freedom. I won't. They want to silence me because